The Awakening. Dr. Sarah Chen never expected to make history on a routine night shift at the Arecibo 2 Radio Observatory. The facility's quantum arrays had been tracking the usual cosmic background radiation when the patterns changed. At first, she thought it was an equipment malfunction. The signals were too precise, too structured to be natural. "Director Walsh, you need to see this," she called, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The signal's frequency was shifting in a way that defied natural phenomena, creating complex mathematical sequences that repeated with impossible precision. James Walsh appeared behind her workstation, his weathered face illuminated by the dancing data streams. "What am I looking at, Dr. Chen?" It's like nothing we've ever recorded. The pattern suggests intelligence, but the complexity." She paused, reorganizing the data visualization. It's orders of magnitude beyond anything humanity could produce. The signal had appeared simultaneously at every major radio telescope on Earth. As Sarah and James watched, the mathematical sequences began assembling themselves into something more, a message. The computers worked furiously to decode it, each new layer revealing deeper complexity. To the species designated, human, the first decoded line read, "Your observation period has concluded." The word sent chills down Sarah's spine. They weren't just making first contact. They were learning they'd been watched all along. The message continued unfolding. "The celestial concordat has monitored your development for 12,000 of your solar cycles. You have now reached the threshold for inclusion in the grand experiment." Military leaders and government officials flooded into the facility over the next hours. General Maya Santos, head of the newly formed Global Defense Initiative, took command of the response team. Her presence gave weight to what everyone already knew. This wasn't just a scientific discovery, it was potentially an existential threat. "Dr. Chen," Santos addressed her directly, "what else can you tell us about these beings?" Sarah pulled up the signal analysis. The transmission method alone suggests technology centuries beyond ours. They're using quantum entanglement in ways we've only theorized about. And the message? She highlighted sections of the decoded text. They refer to themselves as the celestial concordat, but there are references to other species, other experiments. The room grew quiet as implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just meeting aliens. They were being evaluated by what appeared to be a coalition of advanced species who had been watching Earth for millennia. "There's more," Sarah continued, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "The message includes coordinates. They want us to send representatives to a location just beyond lunar orbit." General Santos' expression hardened. "A test of our capabilities. Or a trap," someone muttered. The next section of the message decoded, appearing on the main screen. "Your species has demonstrated remarkable adaptability and resilience. These qualities make you suitable candidates for elevation. Prepare yourselves. The process begins at the next lunar conjunction." Dr. Walsh leaned forward, studying the complex patterns within the transmission. "There's something else here, embedded in the carrier wave. It's changing." Sarah saw it too. The signal wasn't just carrying information. It was affecting the quantum state of matter around the receiving stations, subtle at first, but growing stronger. "General," Sarah's voice carried urgency now, "I don't think this is just a message. It's the beginning of whatever they have planned for us." The facility's sensors began registering anomalies throughout the local area. Quantum fluctuations were increasing exponentially, creating microscopic distortions in space-time itself. "Get me the Security Council," General Santos barked to her aides. "And someone find out if other receiving stations are detecting the same phenomena." As the military personnel scrambled to respond, Sarah continued analyzing the signal. Hidden beneath the obvious message were layers of information. Technical specifications, biological data, and something that looked disturbingly like genetic sequences. "They're not just contacting us," she realized, horror and fascination mingling in her voice. "They're preparing us for something." The quantum distortions were spreading, becoming visible to the naked eye as subtle distortions in the air, like heat waves on a summer day. But it was the middle of winter, and these ripples moved with purpose, converging on population centers across the globe. "We need to evacuate," Dr. Walsh started to say, but Sarah cut him off. "It's too late," she whispered, watching as the readings spiked. "Whatever they're planning, it's already begun." The last decoded line appeared on the screen. "Congratulations, humanity. Your transformation begins now." As if on cue, the quantum ripples intensified, and Sarah felt something change within her at the molecular level. Around the world, billions of others felt it too. The first touch of an intelligence vast beyond comprehension, reaching out to reshape humanity according to its inscrutable design. The great experiment had begun, and Earth would never be the same. Breaking point. The changes began slowly at first. 3 days after the quantum pulse, Dr. Marcus Rodriguez at the Geneva Medical Center noticed something strange in his patient's blood work. The cellular structures were reorganizing themselves, becoming more complex, more resilient. "These can't be human cells anymore," he muttered, adjusting his microscope. The samples from different patients showed the same modifications, quantum-level changes that defied known biology. At the CDC's Emergency Response Center in Atlanta, Dr. Sarah Chen worked alongside a team of geneticists studying the global transformation. The celestial concordat's gift was rewriting human DNA in real time. But to what end? "The modifications appear targeted," she explained to General Santos over a secure quantum link. "They're not random mutations. There's a pattern, a purpose." The general's hologram nodded grimly. "We're seeing the first physical manifestations: enhanced strength, accelerated healing, and something else." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "Some individuals are developing abilities we can't explain." Reports flooded in from around the world. A construction worker in Dubai survived a 30-story fall without a scratch. A firefighter in Sao Paulo walked through flames unharmed to save a trapped family. A child in Moscow demonstrated perfect recall of events she couldn't possibly have witnessed. But not everyone welcomed the changes. Protests erupted in major cities, religious leaders declared it the end times, and governments struggled to maintain order. The fear was palpable. Humanity was becoming something else, something unknown. In orbit, the situation was even more dramatic. The International Space Station's crew reported strange phenomena, spatial distortions that seemed to respond to human thought. Commander Helen Park made first contact with what they began calling the quantum mesh, a network of energy that connected all transformed humans. "It's like seeing with new eyes," she reported. "We can feel each other's presence, share thoughts, memories. Whatever they did to us, it's making us part of something bigger." The celestial concordat remained silent, offering no explanation for their actions. Their structures in lunar orbit pulsed with energy, continuing to broadcast the transformation signal across Earth. Dr. Chen's team made a breakthrough in understanding the changes during the second week. "The quantum modifications aren't just affecting our bodies," she explained to an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. "They're altering how we interact with reality itself, the laws of physics as we understood them. They're more like guidelines now." The implications were staggering. Humanity was being upgraded, transformed into beings capable of manipulating the quantum fabric of space-time. But the question remained, why? General Santos had her own theories. "They're not giving us a gift," she argued during a classified briefing. "They're making us into weapons. The question is, weapons for what purpose?" The breaking point came on day 15. A group of transformed individuals in Sydney discovered they could combine their abilities, creating effects that bordered on the impossible. They opened what appeared to be a portal, catching a glimpse of somewhere else, a vast chamber filled with beings of pure energy. The portal collapsed almost instantly, but not before something came through. A message, broadcasted directly into the minds of every transformed human on Earth. Phase 1 complete. Prepare for combat evaluation. The words confirmed General Santos' worst fears. Earth wasn't being uplifted. It was being drafted into some cosmic conflict. But the Concordat had made a crucial mistake in their calculations. Dr. Chen discovered it while analyzing the quantum mesh network. The changes, the abilities they gave us, they're not controlling them anymore. The transformation has taken on a life of its own, evolving beyond their original design. Humanity had always been adaptable, resilient. Now those traits were being enhanced by quantum engineering beyond comprehension. The celestial Concordat had intended to create soldiers, but they might have instead created something far more dangerous, beings capable of challenging their own power. Commander Park's voice came through the quantum mesh, reaching every transformed human simultaneously. They thought they could control us, shape us into their perfect weapons, but they forgot something important. Humans don't like being controlled. Around the world, the transformed began to organize. The quantum mesh hummed with shared purpose, shared resolve. If the Concordat wanted weapons, they would learn what happened when you armed humanity without understanding their capacity for independence. The combat evaluation was coming, but it wouldn't go as their would-be masters planned. Earth's children were about to teach the cosmos a lesson about free will and the price of underestimating human determination. Evolution's edge. The Lunar Defense Station Alpha buzzed with activity as humanity prepared for war. 1 month had passed since the transformation began, and Earth's children had learned to harness their new abilities with frightening speed. Dr. Sarah Chen watched through the quantum-reinforced viewport as a squad of transformed soldiers practiced spatial manipulation. They moved through space like water, bending reality around them with casual ease. What had once seemed impossible was now routine. "They're getting stronger," General Santos observed, her own form shimming slightly with contained energy. The transformation had affected everyone differently, but all had gained some measure of control over quantum forces. "Not just stronger," Sarah replied, consulting the holographic readouts floating before her. "They're innovating, creating new applications we never imagined. The Concordat gave us the tools, but humanity's creativity is taking them in unexpected directions." The quantum mesh had evolved into humanity's greatest advantage. What started as a simple network for sharing thoughts had become a vast collective intelligence, allowing humans to combine their knowledge and abilities in ways that transcended individual limitations. Commander Park's voice echoed through the mesh from the far side of the moon, where she led the study of captured Concordat technology. "We've cracked another layer of their systems. These aren't just observation posts. They're gateways. The Concordat has a network of them spanning galaxies." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just fighting for Earth anymore. They were preparing to take the battle to the stars. In the training chambers below, Dr. Rodriguez supervised the development of new combat techniques. The transformed soldiers had learned to manipulate quantum fields as weapons, creating shields that could withstand nuclear forces and beams of concentrated reality-warping energy. They wanted weapons, he transmitted through the mesh, but they didn't specify who we'd fight for. The Concordat's silence had become oppressive. Their structures still orbited the moon, still pulsed with energy, but they made no move to direct their supposed weapons. Some theorized they were waiting for the combat evaluation. Others believed they were scared of what they'd created. Sarah's research team had made breakthrough after breakthrough in understanding the transformation. "The changes aren't just physical," she explained during a global briefing. "We're evolving past the constraints of traditional spacetime. Each of us is becoming a nexus of quantum possibility." The first test of humanity's new capabilities came without warning. A Concordat scout ship appeared in orbit, its crystalline structure gleaming with otherworldly energy. Before Earth's defenders could react, it launched an attack. A beam of pure entropy aimed at New York City. The response was instantaneous. Through the quantum mesh, millions of transformed humans linked their consciousness, creating a shield of warped spacetime that didn't just stop the attack, it reversed it, sending the energy back at the alien vessel. The scout ship disappeared in a flash of quantum fire, but not before broadcasting a message. Combat evaluation successful. Preparing full deployment. General Santos called an emergency meeting of Earth's military leadership. "They're coming," she announced, her voice carrying through the mesh to every transformed human on the planet. But they're going to find something very different from what they expected. Humanity had spent the past month preparing. The quantum mesh had allowed them to share knowledge instantly, to learn and adapt at unprecedented speeds. Every human being had become part of something greater, not by losing their individuality, but by choice, by understanding that unity didn't require submission. Sarah's latest discovery provided the final piece of the puzzle. "The transformation is still ongoing," she revealed. "We're not just changing, we're transcending." The Concordat thought they were creating soldiers, but they've actually initiated an evolutionary leap. We're becoming something new, something they never imagined. The transformed gathered at installations worldwide, ready for what was coming. Through the quantum mesh, they could sense the approaching storm, massive concentrations of Concordat ships preparing to enter the solar system. Commander Park's voice carried determination as she addressed the unified consciousness of humanity. They wanted to see if we were worthy of joining their ranks. Instead, they're about to learn why you don't give godlike powers to a species that has spent its entire history fighting against impossible odds. As the first wave of Concordat warships appeared at the edge of the solar system, humanity stood ready. They had taken the Concordat's gift and made it their own. Now it was time to show the cosmos what Earth's children could really do when pushed to evolution's edge. Counter-protocol. The Concordat's warfleet emerged from quantum space like a storm of crystalline daggers, 10,000 ships strong. They expected to find a newly transformed species ready for harvest and deployment. Instead, they found humanity waiting. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the quantum command nexus of Earth Defense Station Alpha, her consciousness merged with millions through the mesh. Time seemed to slow as she processed the tactical data. The Concordat fleet's formation, their energy signatures, the subtle quantum distortions that betrayed their weaknesses. "They still think we're following their programming," General Santos observed, her form now more energy than matter as she coordinated Earth's defense forces. "Let's show them how creative humans can be." The first wave of Concordat ships launched their attack, beams of concentrated entropy designed to unravel matter at the quantum level. But humanity had learned from the scout ship's attack. The quantum mesh lit up as defenders across the solar system linked their consciousness, turning space itself into a weapon. Commander Park led the first counterattack from Luna Base. Initiating Counter-Protocol Alpha, she broadcast through the mesh. The transformed humans under her command reached out with their combined will, grabbing hold of the quantum fabric of reality. The Concordat's weapons met not shields, but mirrors of warped spacetime. Their entropy beams reflected back, amplified by human consciousness, tearing apart the first wave of crystalline ships in spectacular cascades of quantum fire. Second wave incoming, Dr. Rodriguez reported from his position monitoring the quantum field. They're adapting their tactics. The Concordat fleet split into smaller groups, trying to overwhelm Earth's defenses with simultaneous attacks from multiple vectors. But humanity had planned for this. The quantum mesh allowed instantaneous coordination between all defenders, each human mind adding to the collective while maintaining individual initiative. Sarah's research team had discovered something profound about their transformation. The Concordat designed us to be weapons, she transmitted through the mesh, but they didn't understand what that meant. Humans don't just use weapons, we improve them, combine them in new ways, turn them against their creators. The proof of her words manifested as humanity unveiled their true capabilities. Transformed defenders didn't just deflect the Concordat's attacks, they seized control of the quantum energies, redirecting and reshaping them. Each battle became a lesson, every encounter revealing more about their opponent's technology and tactics. Through the quantum mesh, Sarah received tactical updates from across the solar system. The Concordat had expected to find isolated pockets of resistance. Instead, they faced a unified human consciousness that could think and act as one while maintaining the creativity and unpredictability of billions of individual minds. "They're pulling back," General Santos announced, monitoring the fleet movements, regrouping for a major push. But humanity wasn't going to wait. Commander Park's voice carried fierce pride as she gave the order. "Execute Counter Protocol Beta." This was the moment they had prepared for. While the Concordat gathered their forces, transformed humans across the solar system reached out through the quantum field. They had spent weeks studying the alien gateways, learning their secrets, and now they put that knowledge to use. Reality rippled as humanity seized control of the Concordat's own network. Quantum portals sprang to life, not just around Earth, but near every major Concordat installation they had discovered. The aliens had created a weapon capable of manipulating space-time. Now that weapon was turning their own technology against them. "We're not just fighting for Earth anymore," Sarah broadcast through the mesh as transformed humans poured through the portals. "We're fighting for every species they've tried to enslave, every world they've tried to control." The Concordat's carefully ordered universe was about to meet humanity's chaos. Through the quantum mesh, Sarah felt the fierce joy of her species as they prepared to show these self-proclaimed masters of reality why you should never give godlike powers to a species that had spent its entire history defying the impossible. "All units, commence operation," General Santos commanded, her consciousness resonating through the mesh. "Show them what humanity does with power when we decide to take control of our own destiny." The battle for Earth was over before it began. The war for the galaxy was about to start, and humanity was no longer fighting as mere soldiers in someone else's army. They had become something new, something unprecedented. A species that had taken the Concordat's gift and turned it into a revolution. Heaven's Fall. The Concordat's central nexus hung in space like a crystalline dream. A massive structure of impossible geometries where the self-proclaimed masters of reality made their home. Through the quantum mesh, Dr. Sarah Chen felt the combined awe and determination of humanity as their forces prepared for the final confrontation. "They still don't understand what they created," she transmitted through the mesh, watching as the massive human fleet emerged from quantum space around the nexus. The transformed ships, like their crews, were no longer bound by conventional physics, their forms shifting between states of matter and energy. General Santos' consciousness resonated through the collective. "They gave us the power to reshape reality, thinking we'd be content to serve as their weapons. They forgot that humans have been reshaping reality since we first picked up a stone and saw a tool." The Concordat's response was immediate, a barrier of pure quantum energy materializing around their sanctuary. But humanity had evolved far beyond such simple defenses. Commander Park led the first assault, her consciousness guiding a wave of transformed humans as they slipped through the quantum field like water through a net. "We've penetrated their outer defenses," she reported. "But there's something else here, something older than the Concordat." Dr. Rodriguez's research team had made a stunning discovery in the final days before the assault. "The Concordat aren't creators," he shared through the mesh. "They're inheritors. All their technology, even the transformation process they used on us, they found it, left behind by something far more ancient." The truth became clear as humanity pushed deeper into the nexus. The Concordat's mighty civilization was built on borrowed power, maintained through careful control and rigid hierarchy. They hadn't given humanity their gifts out of benevolence or even military necessity. They had done it out of desperation, hoping to unlock secrets they themselves couldn't understand. They'd been running experiments on species across the galaxy, Sarah realized, processing data streaming through the quantum mesh, looking for someone who could fully activate the ancient technology. "When they found us, they thought they'd finally succeeded," General Santos completed the thought. "But they didn't expect us to exceed their parameters." The central chamber of the nexus opened before them, revealing the Concordat's leadership. Beings of pure energy and crystalline thought, ancient but stagnant in their power. Their communication came not in words, but in waves of quantum information. You were meant to be our champions, our perfect weapons. Why do you reject your purpose? Sarah stepped forward, her consciousness carrying the weight of humanity's response. Because that's what humans do. We don't accept limitations. We don't follow paths laid out for us. We make our own way. The battle that followed transcended traditional combat. It was a clash of philosophies as much as forces. The Concordat's rigid order against humanity's creative chaos. The transformed humans didn't just fight. They innovated, adapted, combined their abilities in ways that defied the very laws of reality the Concordat had thought immutable. Through the quantum mesh, humanity shared every discovery, every technique. Each victory taught them more about the true nature of their power. The Concordat had unlocked their potential, but humanity had taken that potential in directions the aliens had never imagined possible. You don't understand. The Concordat transmitted as their defenses crumbled. The power we gave you. It was meant to prepare you for something greater. Something is coming. Then we'll face it our way. General Santos responded, her consciousness resonating with the unified will of humanity. Not as your weapons, but as ourselves. The final barrier fell, and humanity stood triumphant in the heart of the Concordat's power. But they didn't destroy their former masters. Instead, Sarah proposed something radical. You wanted to understand the ancient powers you found. Let us help you, not as servants, but as equals. Humanity has always learned fastest by teaching others. The offer shocked the Concordat, but they were beginning to understand. They had sought to create perfect weapons and had instead helped birth something new. A species that could not only use the ancient powers but understand them, improve them, teach them. As the quantum mesh expanded to encompass the Concordat's worlds, humanity began sharing their discoveries. The transformation that had been meant to enslave them became a gift they offered freely to others. The rigid hierarchy of the Concordat's galaxy gave way to something new. A network of civilizations learning, growing, and evolving together. They wanted to see what humanity would become, Commander Park reflected, watching as the first Concordat volunteers underwent their own transformation. I don't think any of us expected this answer. The galaxy was changing, reality itself shifting as humanity shared their understanding of the quantum powers they had mastered. The Concordat's great experiment had succeeded, just not in the way they had planned. They had sought to create weapons and had instead catalyzed an evolution, not just of humanity, but of all species ready to embrace change. And if something truly was coming, as the Concordat had warned, it would find not a hierarchy of masters and weapons, but a galaxy united in diversity, stronger for the chaos and creativity humanity had brought to the cosmic order. The age of the Concordat was over. The age of humanity's influence was just beginning.